Yo, what's up guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. The Journey of the Katana Hero by TheTrinity9 Chapter 10. Teen Fic. Goddess of Death. Previous next chains rattled through the dreary hallways. Flames from the torches flickered, as if frightened by the sudden noises that were echoing their way. Only for that to be amplified by desperate shouting. "Let me out already. Damn it." No matter how much he pulled and shouted, his struggles went ignored by the patrol who walked by to make sure that he hadn't made any progress in his fruitless endeavors. Not that they needed to see. Those chains were blocking his status magic. He didn't have anything to break up this chain. His swords currently is on the blacksmith to get enchanted. He's completely helpless. "I didn't think that they would actually imprison me. It's better than be killed though," he grumbled, taking a break from his attempts. "Handing me off to the castle knights under whatever circumstances those bastards wanted to accuse me of." Ake wasn't told anything else. When he woke up, this was the position he found himself in. He was being kept, to what he presumed to be a dungeon, without much explanation by any of the guards. He couldn't exactly fathom what might have been happening. He assumed that there was a point in restraining him here instead of straight up killing him. He has some idea in mind at what will they do to him. Accused of stealing, murder attempt, rape, or anything that make his friends, his hero, abandon him and then execute him. Despite that, he's sure about one thing. His teammates, his hero, will search for him. He's sure of that. It took a long time for me to woke up. After an eventful day last night, I'm sure need some good sleep, even though I'm forcefully to. I woke up because of the sound of chirping birds and the sunlight invading the room. When I got up from bed, I saw Naofumi and Raphtalia discussing something, and I can't find Ake anywhere. Where did he go? Ranga and Philo still asleep anyway, with Philo mumbling something about food. Typical Philo. "Good morning, Naofumi, Raphtalia." I greeted them with smile. "Where's Ake?" "Morning, Rimuru." Naofumi greeted back with smile on his own before his smile dropped into a frown. "For Ake. I have a bad news about that." I tilted my head in confusion as I approached Naofumi, looking at his HUD. I shocked because Ake's name is gone. "What?" I muttered in disbelief before I hardened my face. Something bad had happened to him. "We already asked several maids about his whereabouts, but no one know," Raphtalia said in a teary eye. "What if Mr. Ake is—" Please don't say that word, Raphtalia," I said with a frown. "We will search him and ask the higher-ups about this. I swear, if they was the culprit, I'll—" "Rimuru, please calm yourself." Naofumi patted my shoulders, trying to calm me. "You almost do that again." I repeatedly take a deep breath to calm myself. "Thank you, Naofumi. Also, what do you mean by that again?" "You don't remember?" Naofumi asked. "You are so angry and dark aura surrounded your body. Your hair turned white and your eyes turned red. Your katana turned into just like my shield of rage." "What did you say?" I opened my HUD and my god. Cursed series unlocked. The Greedy One, first form. ATK plus, AGI plus, equipment bonus. Skill, Steal Life, Steal Skill. Special effect. Assassinating blade destruction of one's heart. Soul Eater Katana. Cursed series. Huh? It looks like it based from 7 deadly sins. That means, Naofumi got wrath and I got greed. I wonder if Ren, Atsuki and Motoyasu got it too. What sins they're possessed. I don't know for sure, if I'm being honest. That katana you saw yesterday, it's called the Greedy One. Greedy? I nodded. I'm sure it's a powerful katana, but it felt dark. Its name based on 7 deadly sins, and I know I shouldn't use it. How did you unlock it? Same like your case. I don't know. After that whores tried to steal you from me, I sort of lost it. All I think is to take you back from them because you are mine, and mine alone. Naofumi blushed at that, as well as Raphtalia. "I didn't know you have that side on you." I nodded again. I kinda overprotective to those who close to me, and I think the katana was trying to take advantage of it while I was mentally unstable, or something. Same like when I used my shield of rage, after I thought Philo got eaten, Everything went dark, and it asked if I hated everything. I looked up at him. Do you hate everything, Naofumi? He shook his head. No thanks to you all for always be there for me. Either way, please don't use that shield and katana again. Raphtalia said. Promise me that, Naofumi-sama, Rimuru-sama. We'll do our best. Naofumi and I said in unison. Then, a maid from yesterday knocked on the door and opened it. My lord, your schedule for today begins with a warm bath. Rest assured that there will be no, surprises. This time. Thank God. Naofumi said in relief. Come on everyone, let's take a nice bath before we get started on whatever things they have planned for us and ask them where Ake is. Raphtalia and I poked Philo and Ronga's face, as Philo mistook it for food in her sleep and tried to bite it. Wake up, Philo. We need to get going. Philo yawned as she turned into her human form, fully naked. Raphtalia quickly wrapped Philo in the blanket. Not long after that, Ronga yawned before finally woke up. Sis, what are you doing to Philo? The girl cried, being spun in a circle as she was turned into a cocoon of blankets. Philo can't move her arms. Master, mistress, Mr. Ronga. Help, big sis is kidnapping Philo. Just sit still. You can't run around naked, Raphtalia chided. Naofumi sighed. Hey, maid. Why yes my lord? She asked fearfully. Can you get some clothes that would fit a child? Preferably clothes with magic thread on it? You Yes my lord, I'll have them sent down to the bath as soon as they're ready. No. Philo doesn't like this. Philo never needed clothes before. Philo, as amazing as it is that you can transform, it's not normal to be around people without clothes on. You'll wear them, understood? I told her with a sigh. K. Then we began to walk to the baths. Once we arrived, Naofumi allowed me, Raphtalia and Philo to change first before doing so himself. Ronga however, just go straight to the bath. As he walked under the flap separating the changing room from the bath, he sighed in relief. Thank God there aren't any crazy women here trying to rape me this time. He sat down and started washing himself. Filling the small bucket and dumping over his head, he shivered from the cold water. Want me to wash your back, Naofumi? I asked while stood behind him. Please. He nodded as I started to rub his back. On his shoulders, there's a visible bite wound from the Orthus we fought on Ryut's cave. His body is well built thanks to his status as heroes and exercise we do every day. Am I blushing? Of course I am. Who the hell doesn't? So. Naofumi began, breaking the silence. How's your life in your Japan, Rimuru? Pretty good one. I replied with a sad smile. I had amazing parents and friends. I inherited both my parents' skills and appearance. I had 2 best friends that I left on my previous world. You had such a good life. Naofumi commented. He formed a sad smile. My life however, is not as good as yours. I had little brother that I left on my previous world. I don't have many friends and my parents never actually cared me or my brother. That's why we left from our home to live away from them. That's sad. I said, surprised that he had such a shitty parents. I hope your brother is doing well. I'm sure he should be fine. I hope. Naofumi replied with a sigh. Your best friends is sure means a lot for you. Yes, they are. I replied. They're the best friends that I ever had. But I'm worried at one of my best friend, Kuroba Raiden. I know he was depressed after losing his mentor. Now that he lost me too, I'm afraid he'll have a faith in him, Rimuru. Naofumi reassured me. I may not know Raiden, but I'm sure he's strong. Beside, your other best friend will support him. Yeah. I'm just worried at him. Thank you for comforting me, Naofumi. I said with a smile. I'm sorry Raiden. I guess I can't return your feelings. I hope you can find someone better than me. Poof. *. Philo, don't transform in the bath. Raphtalia cried in a panic. Why Newt? You'll get feathers everywhere. Then why Mr. Ronga can while Philo can't? Naofumi and I sighed. It was going to be a long day, and it had only just begun. First Ake gone missing, then Philo and her child behavior. We just hoped that whatever the council wanted for next was actually helpful for us. Well, my thoughts earlier quickly proven wrong. I'm not giving a speech, Naofumi said, crossing his arms. But as the shield hero, it's your duty to our country to. No, he fixed the councilman with a glare. Leave that to a military commander or something, but leave me out of it. I already agreed to help you fight the wave that's coming. I didn't say anything about public appearances or motivational speeches. Geralus stroked the fur on his chin like a beard. Then perhaps you would like to think of it as a business transaction. You assist us with fighting the wave, and we limit your number of public appearances and speeches to, say, 1 per day? Are you kidding me? That was not enough. Now Fumi was appalled that the man had the gall to present that as an option.
Werner held his hands up placatingly. Please, Lord Shield, all we ask is that you show yourself as an ally to our people publicly. We have been waiting for the next shield hero to be summoned for quite a long time, you see. Now that the waves have begun once again, it is more important than ever that our soldiers and citizens know their God is on their side. The elephant councilman nodded. I agree. Though I don't want to go against our Lord's wishes, our people need their symbol of hope. You may not think so, but your presence alone will raise the morale of our troops. Having you say a few words to inspire them would do wonders. Fine, but only once. After that, you'll let me do as I please. Now Fumi said with a cold glare. Most of the councilmen flinched, but Geralus smirked. Actually, I had better choice. I said, prompted everyone to look at me. Let me and now Fumi do the speeches and public appearances. The morale of your troops will increase greatly if they know a vassal hero and shield god come to assist them, right? Most of the councils nodded while now Fumi just stared at me in disbelief. Very well. Let us, Geralus began to speak but I cut him off. But of course, it will not for free. You see, like Mr. Geralus said, we like to think this is business. We will do the speeches and public appearances with 2 conditions. First, we allowed to leave the castle regularly without any supervision. Second, as you know, our companion, Ake Rolf, has gone missing. I want you to search his whereabouts. As long as those 2 conditions is fulfilled, we will cooperative. I bet they'll send those, Shadow, to keep an eye on our movements. If they can't do it openly, they'll do it secretly. I thought, if Melromark have those, then Silvert must be have it too. Politicians always do dirty works for their own benefits. Then let us put it into vote. Geralus said. All in favor of allowing the shield hero and katana hero greater freedom and search mission on Sir Ake whereabouts on the condition of a public appearances and assistances with the waves. After the vote was cast, the majority was in favor of the motion. Then it's settled. We shall allow the shield hero and katana hero to leave the castle regularly without any supervision, contingent upon a public appearance tomorrow and assistance with the wave in 3 days. We are on agreement then. I nodded. Remember, fulfill and we will cooperative. If that's all, then we want to go now. I had enough of this. Now Fumi said, and with that, we leave the castle. As they left, the councilmen whispered amongst themselves frantically. After a few seconds, Geralus cleared his throat. Let's bring this meeting back to order. Now that he has left, perhaps we can deliberate a bit more freely upon our next course of action. Deliberate on what, exactly? We have agreed to their terms. Werner said. We need to do it otherwise they will leave. We must do it, and quickly. We cannot afford to lose his favor. Geralus hummed. If he has intentions to return to Melromark, then we must give him a reason to stay. This one is more defensive than the shield heroes of the past. Not to mention this katana hero is quite troublesome. But how? He has no interest in staying in one place, and our attempt to produce an heir has already failed. A councilman said. Indeed. The maid who allowed him to stay with his companions must be punished according to our laws. One of the shield hero's duties to our country is to produce an heir, or several if possible. To deny our people such a powerful position is treason. It will be impossible to produce an heir for us. This shield hero already had a lover, and she's the katana hero. Geralus grunted with a nod. She will be dealt with accordingly. If we cannot entice him with women, food, or social status, then we must look to other means of garnering his favor. In the meantime, he snapped his fingers and a group of shadows appeared. Keep an eye on him, but don't do anything unless he tries to leave. No matter what, we cannot allow a rebellious heroes to tear this country apart. With a silent nod, the shadows vanished. The rest of the council reluctantly allowed Geraldus' action since they had bound in agreement with Rimuru Arashi, and his action has violated the agreement. They just hope the shadows can do their jobs without getting spotted. Are you sure this is wise? I doubt they will even create a rescue team to search Ake. Naofumi asked me as we walked through Market District. For now, it is. I answered. We cannot let them to do as they please to us. The agreement I made will chain them up for a while. If you say so. He sighed. They think I am some kind of trophy. I'm a hero for God's sake. I'm not here to give speeches, have a bunch of kids, and live like a princess in a castle for the rest of my life. I'm here to save the world. If they can't accept that goal, then I have absolutely nothing to gain by staying here. I know your frustration, Naofumi. I said while patted his shoulder. This whole time we've been here, they've barely even acknowledged the wave as a concern. Based on how they've avoided the topic, I have a feeling they don't even need our help. What is it, Mr. Ranga? Raftalia asked curiously. I have a feeling Mr. Ake is still on the castle. Ranga said. I can still smell it. But his exact position, I don't know. Call it gut feeling, but I think one of those council is the culprit. Raftalia added. There's no way Mr. Ake just vanished like that. Either he's run away from us, got kidnapped or killed by the council, which I find impossible on the first part. But, if it's really one of the council, then why they targeting him? It's because he's from Melromark. I stated with frown. Based on their ugly history, I'm sure none of the council want a filthy Melromarcian become a part of their god teammates. That's why they get rid of him from us. That makes sense if you put it that way. Naofumi said while rubbed his chin. The string is connected there and there, but we don't have any proof of that. I saw Naofumi's troubled look. I walked in front of him and held his hands on my own. What's bothering you? I just have a feeling that there's more going on than what we're seeing. Do they really okay to let the rest of the world burn as long as their people think they'll be okay? It seems so. They more focused on appearances than results. I know it's the opposite of your personality, so I know why it's bothering you. I said with giggle, make him rubbing his head in embarrassment. You are just a same, Rimuru. Naofumi said back while I just smile in response. Anyway, let's go and see what monsters we can find. We eventually discovered a heavily forested area not too far outside of the capital. A variety of monsters both new and familiar were found, and I managed to get a new skills and enchantments for my katana within the first day alone. Level up. Rimuru Arashi LV 59. Naofumi Iwatani LV 57. Raftalia LV 43. Ranga LV 43. Philo LV 43. New enchantment. Unbreaking V. Sharpness X. Agility Enchantant V. New ability. Hell Dive Whirlwind Slasher. Branded Flame. Water Cannon. Scorch Katana LV 59 200ths. Copied ability 57. ATK plus 790, MAG plus 490, AGI plus 790. Equipment bonus. Immune Fire Elemental, Fire Slice, Dancing Flame, Scorch Blade, Dark Flame, Scorch Blade, Absolute Power Force. Blizzard Katana LV 59 200ths. Copied ability 57. ATK plus 590, MAG plus 790, AGI plus 690. Equipment bonus. Immune Ice Elemental, Wind Blade, Vacuum, Crescent Aqua Slash, Ice Spike Thrust, Ice Blade, Fimble Winter. Tempest Katana LV 59 200ths. Copied ability 57. ATK plus 690, MAG plus 690, AGI plus 690. Equipment bonus. Immune Wind Elemental, Wind Cutter, Tornado Blade, Thousand Blades, Atomic Slash. After we set up camp, Naofumi noticed that we were being watched. Whoever it was wasn't doing anything but watching them, so he assumed they were just there to act as the supervision that the council was so adamant about. Just like I thought before, that council will send the shadows to keep an eye on us. They broke the first agreements. I really want to leave this place. The council really pissed me off. But with Ake gone missing and the safety of Silvert civilians, I can't. I'm not heartless, thank you very much. The day of the wave we returned to the capital, where they met with Werner at the gates. The market district was a flurry of activity as people of all shapes and sizes sprinted, and sometimes flew, around with equipment or supplies in hand. Raftalia couldn't help but stare at a fully armored elephant demi-human wielding a massive axe who walked by. The thundering of his footsteps was drowned out by all the other noise. They certainly seem more prepared for battle than Melromark was for the last wave. Werner nodded. Siltveld is a more militaristic country by nature, so it's only natural that many of our citizens are trained in some manner of combat. Raftalia hadn't even spoken in Siltveltian that time, and yet the Shusaku man responded in fluent Melromarcian without skipping a beat. And on the other hands, now Fumi and I couldn't tell the difference. So it's like a militia. Then, now Fumi said. At the Shusaku's nod, he hummed in thought. I imagine your army can handle a pretty big fight without any need for adventurers. We do have adventurers who are willing to help when they're in the area, but we try to be as self-sufficient as possible. It's much easier to manage in my personal opinion. It makes sense. Adventurers won't always be around when you need them. I noted. Precisely. Werner finally stopped at a familiar blacksmith's shop. We're here. Please hurry and gather your equipment. You may be summoned to the location of the wave, but the rest of us are not. It may take some time for us to reach you, so I suggest holding back until the rest of our soldiers arrive. Noted. With that, Werner bowed and left them to their own devices. The timer showed only 2 hours left before the wave began. We picked up our newly repaired armor from the blacksmith's shop, along with Ronga and Philo's new claws. Ache armor and swords, however, I keep them on my inventory. Speaking of armor, the blacksmith create and clothes from light metal woven instead of armor. It's my request because armor will just slow me down. Damn, I'm a badass. Master RRRRR, these feel weird. Philo complained, shaking her feet and stomping around. Now Fumi rolled his eyes. Get used to it. We need to be as strong as we can get, and being uncomfortable isn't an excuse for giving up an advantage. He chided. Besides, I don't want you to hurt your feet by kicking something that's too hard for you. Ah, Master does care about Philo. Because you are expensive. If you are dead, it will be a waste of money. Now Fumi said jokingly. Boo, Master is so mean. Philo pouted. Ronga, how's your feet feels? I asked him. It's uncomfortable, mistress. He answered honestly. But this clause is really useful for my lightning magic. It will make my attack stronger. You can take it off after wave. So, little patience, okay. Understood, mistress. As we waited down the final minutes before the wave, large battalions of soldiers gathered together to pray for safety and victory. Werner approached, though he wasn't clad in anything more than a light, leather-like chestplate of a similar crimson color to his wings. Lord Shield, Lady Arashi, how do you feel? He asked. Contrary to his usual cheerfulness, the man's face was beset by stress lines and a grim countenance. Now Fumi hummed. The same as ever. All I care about is getting through this. Agreed. Raftalia noted the man's attire. Mr. Werner, are you planning to fight as well? She asked. Now that she knew he didn't mind speaking Melromarcian, she didn't feel the need to use her own broken Siltveltian. He shook his head. No. Though many of my race are fierce warriors, I was never very interested in combat itself. Strategy and diplomacy were what I chose to dedicate myself to. I see. Werner shuffled awkwardly. By the way, my lord. The soldiers seem on edge. I know that the council's decision didn't please you. It definitely didn't. Now Fumi interjected, causing the man to flinch. I pinched his arm in a section where the padding was less, causing him to flinch as well. Have piercing enchantment has its perks. I know you don't like them, I don't like them too. But please don't be rude. I scolded him. Alright, fine. Now Fumi sighed. My defense is high and it still hurts. It that from her piercing enchantment. But, I would like to personally request that you say a few words to them. Werner finished his sentence. They may look relatively calm, but the signs of stress are there. Their fur stands on end, or their feathers are more unkempt. Some races simply sweat a lot more. Ew. That's nasty. Philo whined. Ronga then smack her. Philo. Don't say something rude. He scolded her. K. After a second, now Fumi just sighed. Alright, fine. It's a part of our agreement, so I'll say something at least. Werner's posture immediately relaxed. Thank you, my lord. Just, please don't be too aggressive with them. Now Fumi was already walking into the crowd, pushing past people. Werner flapped his wings, soaring through the air until he landed on a nearby building. Attention, everyone. May I have your attention, please? Auer shouted. The soldiers all turned their heads toward him, whispering amongst themselves. Once he had their attention, he continued. Our savior and God, the shield hero Naofumi Iwatani, is here on the battlefield with us today. The crowd's whispering intensified as they looked around frantically. Ignoring them, Werner continued. Bow and pray, for he stands with us. Now, gaze upon the face of salvation. Werner pointed down to where Naofumi was standing. The crowd of soldiers gasped and immediately fell to their knees in prayer. Uncomfortably, the man cleared his throat. I'll keep this short, since we only have a few minutes left. Naofumi said, I won't lie to you. This is going to be dangerous, but if you stick together you'll much better chance for survival. Feeling that wasn't quite sufficient, he continued. At the end of the day, the most important thing is coming back home alive. I'll do everything I can to make sure you all come back home to your friends and family. But I can't be everywhere at once, so don't be reckless just because I'm here. Do as you're told, and everything will be just fine. As he stepped down to return to Raftalia and Philo, the crowd exploded into roars. Some were of battle, others were of praise. The crowd parted as he passed, and he let out a deep sigh when he finally reached them. That was marvelous, Naofumi. I praised him with a smile. I don't know you had speech ability too. It wasn't much, really. Naofumi said sheepishly. 0 hours 0 minutes and 4 seconds. 0 hours 0 minutes and 3 seconds. 0 hours 0 minutes and 2 seconds. 0 hours 0 minutes and 1 second. 0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. As the timer hit 0, we were enveloped in a bright light before vanishing. When the light receded, we were standing in an open field. A quick look at the surroundings didn't tell us anything about where we actually were. Damn. I guess it was wishful thinking to have the wave be close to the capital. Naofumi mumbled. The monsters poured out of the sky like raindrops, but we were still too far away to examine in detail. Naofumi-sama, Rimuru-sama, we shouldn't stay here on our own. We might get overrun if the Siltveltian soldiers take too long to find us. Raftalia said, drawing her sword. The ground shook as the monsters landed on the ground harshly. Most were little green humanoid creatures with loincloths and makeshift weaponry. Naofumi's status magic labeled each one of them as an interdimensional goblin. Can Philo go kick them, master? Philo asked. They look so kickable. Suddenly, a small rain of arrows landed around them. Air strike shield. Naofumi cried. The spectral barrier appeared, blocking more arrows from striking them.
They have arrows too. We need to get far enough away that they can't hit us. That way we have some time to come up with a plan. K. Hop on and ride Philo. You can hop one too, master, mistress. Raftalia jumped on the Philolil's back while Naofumi on Ranga's and I just use body shapeshift. Bat wings, to catch up with them as we took off at breakneck speed. The goblins, as well as the various other creatures from the wave, couldn't catch up to them. Within a few minutes, a Shusaku flew down from above while Philo and Ranga stopped. My lord. Thank goodness I found you, and you brought a goddess too, she said with a quick salute. It never stop, isn't not? The rest of the soldiers are en route as we speak. Where exactly are we? Naofumi asked. We're currently about 10 kilometers from the capital's eastern gate. Some of our faster soldiers will be here within the next 20 minutes or so, but the larger ones will take nearly an hour to get.
Within an hour, the wave could spread. Are there any villages near here? I asked with a frown. The winged woman nodded. Yes, it's a small farming village to the south. So long as we reach this area in time, the monsters shouldn't have time to spread that far. Now I must report back to the commander. Be safe, my lord. With that, the woman flew away toward the capital. Naofumi-sama, Rimuru-sama, what should we do? Raftalia asked. We thought for a few moments, hand on his chin and mind running a mile a minute. We could do whatever we want if the village is out of the way, but with how fast those things are moving. He trailed off, looking behind him at the horde of creatures that were gaining ground quickly. The reinforcements may not make it in time. Raftalia finished, worriedly. Exactly. But we can't go straight to the village or we'll draw even more of them in that direction. We can't fight all of them at once, and if we bring them to the village then it would be destroyed too. Naofumi with a frown. Master. Mistress. They're getting closer. Philo warned, hopping back and forth on her feet and itching to run. Clenching his fist together. It might sound crazy, but the best option is for us to charge into them. That's just plain crazy, Naofumi-sama. Raftalia cried out in shock. If we go straight to them, we'll be overrun in minutes. No, it would be a best option for now, I stated, causing her to turn at me in disbelief. Rimuru-sama, do you trust us, Raftalia? I asked with serious tone and with a gaze that made her flinched and gulped. I do. I trust you, Naofumi-sama, Rimuru-sama. Raftalia answered with a flinch after I give her my cold gaze. Philo trust master and mistress too. As well as me. Thank you. I'm going to run right into the middle and use hate reaction to make them all focus on me while I use shooting star shield to protect myself. While they're on distracted, I need you all to take out as many as you can. But that's, Raftalia began to protest again but I cut her off. We have no time to debate. They are getting closer and closer. I exclaimed. Raftalia sighed. All right. Just make sure to not make me regret this. We'll do our best. Naofumi and I responded in same time. Come on and hope into either Philo on Ranga. Let's go. Right. With the raccoon on her back and Naofumi on his back, Philo and Ranga began sprinting toward the wave while I flying above them in same speed. After we reached the crest of a hill, we were able to see the soldiers marching, if you could call running as fast as possible marching, in our direction. Faster demi-humans, generally the ones who could be considered therianthropes of a canine variety, were in the front of the pack. Naofumi waved, and one of the flying Shusaku scouts landed beside him. My lord. We're going to hold them here. If they get over this hill, we'll have to fight from a disadvantageous position. As soon as everyone else arrives, we can start to drive them back. Naofumi said. The scout nodded and flew back to the rest of the soldiers. Hopping off of Ranga's back, Naofumi took a deep breath. All right, let's be careful of their arrows and focus on the ones in front. There's too many to reach their archers, and I saw a few bigger monsters mixed in as well. After we take out some of them, let's retreat back to here and regroup. I can take their archers. You three wiped off the fronts. Got it. Charging forward, Naofumi saw another hail of arrows coming toward them. With another air strike shield, he kept the ground squad safe while I easily cut off their arrows. As they got closer, he was able to examine the goblins in more detail. They were short, green-skinned creatures with large noses and long ears. They looked like fat, ugly little children wielding crude weapons. However, as he'd seen, they were a crafty bunch. Most monsters weren't intelligent enough to build tools, so these ones were at least a step above other monsters in that regard. The horde closed in, and Naofumi glowed with a red haze. Hate reaction. Shooting star shield. He shouted, causing all of the nearby enemies to focus their glowing eyes on him while he protected by a golden area. Raftalia. Philo. Ranga. Now's your chance, so go. Okay. Ha. Raftalia cried as she swung her sword, cleaving a goblin in half with a single strike. For a brief moment, she stood in awe. What was that? Philo appeared beside her in a flash, kicking another goblin into another group of them and knocking them all over. Pay attention, sis. Ranga also appeared beside her, slashing the group of goblin. Miss Raftalia, please pay attention or you may get killed. Sorry. The raccoon went back to slaying goblins, slicing them from head to toe and everything in between with powerful slashes. I, however, annihilate those goblin archers with tornado blades combined with scorch blade, dark flame. This continued for 10 minutes. Naofumi, shooting star shield, barely took any damage. The goblins began to realize that their attacks were ineffective, and one by one they focused their attention on Raftalia, Philo, and Ranga. Get back here you slimeballs. Hate reaction. Naofumi yelled once again. Their attention diverted right back to him. Air strike blade V. 20's ethereal blades manifest before me and go straight to 20 different archer goblins, killing them instantly. Raftalia stabbed her blade through a goblin's chest, covering herself in stick blood. Lightning strike. Ranga unleashed a lightning from his horn, hitting several goblins and killed them instantly. Hydra bullets. Philo spit a purple liquids from her mouth into a goblin's while kicking it, killing them in process. Damn. Where's the reinforcement? Now Fumi grumbled. Even though we can deal with it without too much issue, the sheer numbers of goblins is still a problem. My lord. Are you all right? Now Fumi's head snapped to the side to see a group of wolfmen running up to him. They were already out of breath from sprinting for so long, and now Fumi worried that it would hinder them in battle. Good. You've arrived. Catch your breath, I'll keep you all safe for now. The demi-human soldiers breathed a sigh of relief, bending over and panting to get their breathing under control. With Philo's speed, now Fumi's defenses, and Raftalia's offense, the trio was like a highly mobile phalanx that intercepted any attackers and plowed through groups of enemies without wasting a moment. A few more hobgoblins appeared at once, along with a much larger creature called an interdimensional troll. It was several times the size of a normal human, and based on its musculature, it probably packed one hell of a punch. Ranga. Philo. Get us over to the big one. Now Fumi yelled, slamming his shield into the head of a leaping goblin. Its body joined the many others littering the ground. Okay. Hang Uun. Understood. Philo and Ranga kicked off, soaring across the battlefield like a bullet in relative safety. If one was more than a few feet off of the ground, the regular goblins were too short to reach them. As they approached, the hobgoblins stood in front of the troll defensively. Meanwhile, the swarm of smaller goblins flanked from every direction. Damn, they're strategizing now. We need to take these guys out, and fast. I don't want to see how strong they are. Now Fumi shouted as he leapt off on Ranga's back, charging into the crowd and using hate reaction to grab their attention. After a quick chant, Raftalia used her first hiding to vanish into thin air. In the chaos of battle, not a single enemy noticed she was gone. She slashed the goblins without being noticed. Philo and Ranga charged directly to the hobgoblins, who had turned their attention to their master. Hiya! Take that, ugly! With a single kick, she sent one flying back into the crowd of goblins. She then used spin technique to shredding them into pieces. Die! Die, you foul beasts! Ranga slashed the goblins into pieces. He then used wind blow and lightning strike to kill the group of goblins and hobgoblins. Revolt of lightning disobey. The hobgoblins turned to see the troll with a purple lightning striking its body and various cut wounds can be seen on its body. I appeared behind the troll's body and flicking the blood on my katana off. I already caught the big one. Just focus on the rest. Taking the opportunity while they were distracted, now Fumi used shield throw 2 to hit the hobgoblin's head. The attack stunned it as he changed his shield into B-needle shield to deliver a poison and various debuff on his opponent. When the hobgoblin recovered from the stun, it roared and swung an arm back. But it made contact on Naofumi's two-headed black dog shield. Naofumi smirk as dog bite skill tear the hobgoblin apart, killing it instantly. Naofumi take a pride of it. Because it's not easy to take down an enemy like that without any power boots from your stats. My lord, we're ready to fight with you. The wolfmen from earlier had caught their breath, and, inspired by their god taking down foe after foe without rest, were prepared to give it all they had. Then get over here and help. These little ones are a pain. Understood. God has spoken. Come, my friends. We shall rain his judgment upon these foul beasts. A series of roars and howls erupted from the declaration, causing Naofumi to groan. However, he welcomed their assistance regardless. Within minutes, the battle started turning in our favor. The goblins seemed less confident than before, no longer rushing directly into the heart of the battle with little concern for their well-being. The number of hobgoblins had also started to dwindle, and only a few trolls remained in sight. My huff my lord. We've finally arrived. A massive elephant demi-human led the rest of the forces. They all seemed exhausted from the run, but eager to join the fight nonetheless. The wave was being pushed back, and the reinforcements only turned the tables further. From that point forward, the rest of the battle seemed like a walk in the park. With wolfmen charging into the crowds of goblins, Elephant therianthropes crushing or flinging away anything in their paths, and Shusaku warriors keeping the skies clear of any bird riders. Now Fumi felt that he was barely needed anymore. Wiping a bead of sweat from his brow, he looked around until he saw Rimuru and Raphtalia. Using his shield as battering ram, he charged forward until he stood beside his companions. Rimuru had just finished to burn down another group of hobgoblins, and Raphtalia just chopped down a group of goblin, and they didn't even wound yet. Rimuru, Raphtalia, how are things looking over here? He asked, standing back to back with us to defend against what few monsters dared to attack us. Philo and Ranga could occasionally be seen soaring through the battlefield, causing havoc wherever they go. I slash a leaping goblin with my katana, torn it in two. Now Fumi block another leaping goblin with bee needle shield, before kill it with shield bash. The monsters is not a problem anymore since we annihilate most of them. But still there's no sign of crash. Asterisk. Gah. One of the elephant therianthropes flew through the air before landing nearby. A massive gash lay on his chest, and he clutched the wound with gasping breaths. Hey, are you alright? First heal. Now Fumi didn't even wait for a response before casting his spell. The wound didn't fully vanish, but the man was no longer clutching at his chest in pain. Thank you, my lord. He winced. I'm sorry, but I need a few minutes. Just rest, and have someone cover you. A Shusaku landed beside them before throwing a knife into a nearby hobgoblin's eye with deft precision. My lord, I think we've found the leader. Lead the way, then. We'll take care of him. As the feathered warrior flew above the battlefield. I'll clear the path for you too. Please defeat the boss and stay alive. Raphtalia said as she started to fight the enemies who block our path. Thank you, Raphtalia. Now Fumi and I running were forced to cut down a few stray enemies along the way, even though Raphtalia distract most of the enemies. When we saw a group of wolfmen all ganging up on one opponent, it became obvious who the boss was. Grr. You think you're tough, huh? Let's see you handle 4 of us at once. The wolfman charged with a hammer while 3 others charged with their own weapons. The goblin they fought was taller than the rest, even the hobgoblins who normally were about the size of a human. He stood without their telltale hunchback. Both his armor and weapons shined brilliantly. Although they attacked with masterful coordination, their opponent was simply too skilled and too powerful. The first wolfman's attack was deflected long enough for a foot to send him flying back. The second's dagger was knocked away by the goblin's sword before its shield slammed into the woman's throat. She gagged as she fell backward in pain. HHHHRRRRRAAAAAH. The third wolfman, a much larger one than the others, charged with fluted metal gauntlets that had clawed fingers. His first punch was dodged, then the second, and a knee strike was met with a sword that cut the limb off cleanly. He roared in agony as he fell over, bleeding profusely. The fourth and final wolfman hesitated just long enough for the goblin to throw its sword, embedding it deep within his chest. With a haughty walk, it stalked over to its prey before stabbing the weapon deeper and then ripping it out. The creature spat on the corpse of its opponent before cackling with laughter. All of this happened in seconds. Shit. That looks like our boss, alright. Rimuru, you and I will. No, now Fumi. I cut him off, much to his surprise. You're the only one who can help those people, now. This monster will not giving you a chance to do it. Are you out of your mind? Did you see what those monster do to those people? I'm not letting you. This isn't up for debate. I cut him off again, now with grim tone. That fucker just slashed our comrades and they are now slowly dying. And beside. You believe me, right? Do you believe in me, Iwatani Naofumi? After Naofumi saw Rimuru's sweet smile, he just sighed. He know very well her skills and strength, but still her idea of fought wave boss alone is reckless. Alright, I know I can't change your mind, so go and kick that fucker's ass. His words of encouragement gave me a greater motivation to kick that bastard down. Caught up in the moment, I gave him a quick kiss on cheek before sprinting toward the boss monster. Now Fumi was left speechless for a few seconds before he remembered what he was supposed to do. He sprinted toward the man with the severed leg first. First heal, he cried. The magic slowed the bleeding, but it wasn't enough. His magic simply wasn't powerful enough for a wound of this caliber. Uncorking a healing potion, he handed it to the man who chugged it down like water. Almost immediately the bleeding stopped. You have my gratitude, my lord. I was careless, and now Farron is gone. He glanced over at the fourth wolfman who was clearly lifeless. Nothing could save him now, not even a miracle. Now Fumi didn't know how to comfort the man. He'd never been face to face with loss like this before, and it rattled him more than he liked to admit. Something about watching it happen right before his eyes made it so much more visceral. Meanwhile, I was having a stare down with this boss, namely Interdimensional Goblin Champion. So, you're the boss, I assume. It either couldn't speak or chose not to, as it merely chuckled in response. I take that chuckle as yes. Now, prepare for face your judgment, sucker. Sensing the start of the battle, the interdimensional goblin champion rushed in at high speeds. However, I was faster. She dashed forward at such a velocity that my opponent was momentarily shocked. A quick flourish of my katana put the goblin on the defensive, but I managed to slash its shield from in two. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. It roared as it fainted twice, then drop a fist into my arm, but I can easily dodge it, and with a quick punch in the jaw and kick on its shin, I stabbed its belly. The goblin grit its ugly teeth in pain, yanking the weapon out and retreating to safety. You're not getting away, I yelled as I rushed to close the distance once again, but the beast's smirk warned me of danger. Rah! A small trio of goblins leapt out from my blind spot, aiming to injure me any way they could. But sadly they yelled so. Triple sweep strike. I slashed the trio goblins in 3/ move, cut its head, torn its body in two and screwed its head into mincemeat. Quote exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark exclamation mark quote. The champion charged once again, sensing an opportunity. However, it didn't expect me to recover so quickly. I changed my Scorch Katana into Blizzard Katana and Ice Blade. Fimble Winter. I swung my katana forward and slashed the goblin champion on its right arm as it severed its arm, causing it to roar in pain. Not only that, the goblin champion froze an instant, as well as the land he stood. See you in hell, sucker. I coldly said. Wind Blade. Vacuum. I take a quick draw stance and unsheathes my katana, unleashing a pair of blade of winds towards the freezing goblin champion, slice and dice it. Now Fumi let out a breath he didn't know he was holding as he healed the last of the living wolfmen. Thank God, he mumbled to himself. For a moment, he was worried that the sneak attack would end up severely injuring her. He really worried for his girlfriend. As strong as she be, he still worried, okay. With a bright flash, the red skies returned to their normal color and the wave ended. Level up. Rimuru Arashi, LV62. Naofumi Iwatani, LV60. Raftalia, LV49. Ranga, LV49. Philo, LV49. It's only fitting that a god would have a goddess of death at his side. He turned to the large wolfman with a questioning gaze. Goddess of death? Who? Rimuru. The massive man chuckled. Don't mind me, my lord. Just an old poet's heart at work. He chuckled. Just don't say that words in front of her. Anyway, are you going to be alright? The first wolfman from earlier walked over and lifted the larger man's arm over his shoulders. Thank you for tending to his wound, my lord. We will never forget this debt. They both bowed as deeply as they could, considering their position. Now Fumi waved it off. Yes, thank you so very much. The wolf woman did the same, still clutching at her bruised throat. With a quick first heal, now Fumi fixed that problem. I'm just glad you survived. I'm sorry about your friend. He looked down with sad eyes, and they did the same. Farron was a good friend and a good warrior. He died protecting his family in the neighboring village south of here. If there was any way he'd want to go, it was saving his wife and 12 children. 12. I thought it was 7. The woman cried. He lied to me. The group bickered amongst themselves, celebrating the life of their friend rather than mourning his death. Now Fumi excused himself, walking over to his girlfriend who collecting the meat of the goblin champion. Ah, now Fumi is a Verit. I never finish my sentence because now Fumi hugged me. I blushed. I didn't even care at sweat and blood that leave visible mark at our clothes. I returned the hug. Please just don't do it again. Now Fumi said. That was a reckless thing you ever do. What if you got injured?
Then you can heal me, Now Fumi. I responded. If I didn't do that, that wolf man will die because of blood loss. But still. Now Fumi just sighed and decided to drop the subject. We break the hug before absorbing the sword and shield the goblin champion used. New enchantment, Unbreaking 7 Agility Enchantant V. Beast Killer IV Piercing vs ATK plus 75% AGI plus 75% fire damage I. Frost damage I. New ability, Instant Blade, Mist Powder Snow.
Triple Thrust, Wind Wing Cutter, Scorch Katana LV 62 200ths. Copied ability, 69. ATK plus 820, Mag plus 520, AGI plus 820. Equipment bonus. Immune Fire Elemental, Fire Slice, Dancing Flame, Scorch Blade, Dark Flame, Scorch Blade, Absolute Power Force. Blizzard Katana LV 62 200ths. Copied ability, 69. ATK plus 620, Mag plus 820, AGI plus 720. Equipment bonus. Immune Ice Elemental, Wind Blade, Vacuum, Crescent Aqua Slash, Ice Spike Thrust, Ice Blade, Fimble Winter. Tempest Katana LV 62 200ths. Copied ability, 69. ATK plus 720, Mag plus 720, AGI plus 720. Equipment bonus. Immune Wind Elemental, Wind Cutter, Tornado Blade, Thousand Blades, Atomic Slash. New shield unlocked. Goblin Champion's Shield. ATK plus 1. Def plus 100, MDEF plus 100. Equipment bonus. Blessing of the Forest, 3rd shield. Special effect. Def plus 25%, MDEF plus 25%. It's the second shield that give me attack boost. Now Fumi thought happily. And the defense boost I got is insane. With this, I'm sure not even the Goblin Champion could hurt me. Now Fumi-sama. Rimuru-sama. I was so worried. Raphtalia ran over and hugged us tightly. Soon Philo and Ranga joined too. The heat inside of Philo feather and Ranga fur was smothering. I'm glad you all are okay too. Where were you all anyway? We could use your help. Now Fumi asked, finally breaking the hug. I'm sorry now Fumi-sama, but we three were helping the Shusaku and other troops beat up the goblins. She answered. Philo tried eating one already, and it was nasty. Philo chided in. Why I am not surprised at all. I sighed while patting Ranga's head. My lord. A group of soldiers knelt down in front of them. All of them were covered in blood, but only a few had any visible injuries. Thanks to you, our people are safe. You have our deepest gratitude and our undying loyalty. Now Fumi, slightly uncomfortable, waved it off. I just did what I'm here to do. Nothing more, nothing less. If you want to thank me by staying alive and continuing to protect your friends and families. They bowed further while kneeling, if possible. Yes, my lord. I giggle at him. You are so good at this, now Fumi. I just want to this end already. Look at us. Now Fumi said, pointing at his blood-soaked armor and clothes with disgust. Such a mess. A nice bath, dinner and some sleep would do. I thought now Fumi-sama didn't want to stay in the castle again after what happened. What if they go, overboard again? Raphtalia asked curiously. It was worth the risk. Besides, my goddess of death will save me if they do. Please, not you too. I groaned with a blush on my face. And what do you mean, goddess of death? Nothing. Just an old poet's heart at work. I pouted at him. We're even now Fumi. To be